the giant of Africa, survives majorly on oil and agriculture. And according to the World Population Prospects 2019, Nigeria has a growth rate of 2.6%. Izuchukwu 2011 stated that the Nigerian agricultural sector contributes 20.85% of the country's GDP, making agriculture a relevant part of Nigeria's economy. Hence, the need for firms in this sector to initiate strategies to positively increase financial performance. These facts about Nigeria, the Nigerian agricultural sector, and its relevance to the country's GDP drives this study. Good day, ICBED organizers, fellow participants, and other audiences. My names are Ndifreke Clinton-Etim, a graduate student of the American University of Nigeria. Today, I'm presenting on the impact of vertical integration on financial performance in African emerging economies, a case study of Olam Nigeria Limited. This study is co-authored with Theoneste Manishimwe. Our learning objectives, or the learning objectives, is primarily to examine the impact of vertical integration components on financial performance measures in emerging economies, specifically Nigeria, using Olam Nigeria Limited as a case study. The specific learning objectives are the impact of each of the vertical integration components on the financial performance measures. This presentation is guided by these 5 outlines. And at the end of the presentation, you will be knowledgeable about the financial implication of vertical integration in Africa's emerging economy, an important knowledge for investors and prospective investors in Africa, specifically Nigeria. Olam Nigeria, one of the leading firms in the Nigerian agricultural sector with global presence, was a firm chosen for this study. A pilot study conducted in Olam shows that the firm employs upstream and downstream vertical integration strategy in their operations to enhance their performance towards attaining competitive advantage in the industry. Furthermore, the firm uses return on investments and earnings before interest and tax as measures of financial performance. Vertical integration is the expansion of business along the supply and value chain or extension of production activity to include pre or post-production activity. And financial performance refers to monetary or economic position of a firm. How did vertical integration start? Vertical integration was created by Andrew Carnegie in a steel company in a bid to gain ownership, control, and reduce supply costs, and also to be ahead in the steel industry. This is reflected in the works of Ashe and Ananda 2001. Gustavus Franklin Swift Sr. further implemented this vertical integration strategy in an effort to optimize his resources and cut costs by expanding his cattle sales beyond slaughter to a meat packing and delivery business. This is according to the works of Chandler 2009. Over time, other businesses adopted the vertical integration strategy, and scholars started to study the relationship of the vertical integration strategy on performance. Although vertical integration has been widely used in business with several studies on vertical integration and financial performance across continents and industries. However, the findings varies across studies. Also, in emerging countries like Nigeria, there are not a lot of studies on the subject matter across industry. A clear indication of the gap which drives the research problem: what is the impact of vertical integration components on financial performance measures in Olam Nigeria Limited? The conceptual framework is an illustration of the research problem. The vertical integration components, which are independent variables, are derived from literature, and the financial performance measures, which are the dependent variables, those cited in literature, are drawn from the approved measures of Olam, the approved financial measures of Olam Nigeria Limited, the firm chosen for this study. A review of previous works shows that the concept of vertical integration is driven by the need to address product and customer-related issues along the supply and value chain towards gaining competitive advantage. However, several authors have defined vertical integration mainly to cost saving, efficiency of resources, and ownership and control. These definitions are backed by transaction cost theory, resource-based theory, and property rights theory. This diagram shows vertical integration as being directed towards competitive advantage in the industry and positive performance within the firm. To achieve these feats, the diagram further illustrates the major specific objective that drives vertical integration linked with the theory that supports this objective. Williamson 1985 and Jacobites and Winters 2005, as well as Afaro et al. 2016, defined vertical integration as a quest for cost saving and is supported by the principle of the transaction cost theory as seen in the works of Goldberg 1976, Williamson 1985, and Josko 1985. According to Wenefeld 1984 and Carey 2010, the resource-based theory is the efficient internal resource utilization. This theory anchors the works of Heath et al. 2016, who asserts that vertical integration is driven by the need for efficient and effective use of resources. However, the works of French 1989 and Christopher 2011 argues that ownership and control drives vertical integration, and this concept is supported by the principle of the property rights theory in the works of Hart 1995, which states that the inability to perfect contractual agreements between the firm and external market gladiators triggers integration to allow the right to control. The vertical integration components for this study are dimensions of the external vertical integration, upstream and downstream. The upstream integration concerns products and borders around the supply chain, while the downstream integration concerns suppliers and borders around the distribution, which is the same as the value chain. The works of Perry, 1982, Nikovic et al. 2007, and Liu 2016, and Lochasa and Riordan 2019 gives more insight on upstream activities, and the works of Skera and Ross 1990, Forage et al. 2008, and Hunger 2011 discusses the downstream activities. A more specific review of vertical integration and financial performance brought about the following hypothesis. Vertical integration, the hypotheses guiding these studies are as follows. Upstream integration has a non-significant impact on return on investment in Olam Nigeria Limited. Upstream integration has a non-significant impact on earnings before interest and tax in Olam Nigeria Limited, and same applies for downstream. vice versa for downstream. The research method for this study has indicated on the slide in front of you. From the research design, which was explanatory, and this choice is based on Acta 2016, who alluded that contrary to descriptive design, the explanatory goes beyond observation and description and attempts to explain the phenomenon causes. The study population was of 338 staffs of Olam employees in Lagos. Taro Yamen formula was used to achieve the sample size of 183, and 175 responded out of the 183 sample size. The data used for this study were primary and secondary data, and the research instruments were questionnaires and financial records. The reliability for this study was done using Cronbach alpha, and the result came at 0.942 reliability. The validity was content validated by an expert. Data collection method was self-administration of the instruments and collection of financial record. The method for this, or the process for this research, was quantitative. The software used was SPSS version 20. The tools were descriptive statistics and least square regression. The operational variables was as earlier stated in the conceptual framework: upstream, downstream, earnings before interest and tax, and return on investment. Upon testing the hypothesis, the findings is as illustrated on the slide. And in summary, these findings show upstream integration has an insignificant negative and significant positive impact on return on investment and earnings before interest and tax respectively, as well as downstream integration has a significant positive and insignificant negative impact on return on investment and earnings before interest and tax respectively. Conclusively or wholesomely, the study findings show that vertical integration explains a positive progression of the firm's financial performance. This study recommends three broad perspectives. Practically, the study, which was being carried out on an existing firm, shows that the findings can be an independent report and guide for the firm to evaluate its integration strategy. The study, on a theoretical basis, aligns with the transaction cost theory to guide vertical integration decision. Academically, this study is recommended to serve as a reference for future research on this subject area. This study has some limitations, which is limited to a single firm and industry and does not allow for generalization. It's limited to the data related to integrated period of the firm. The financial performance metrics is limited to the firm's recommended parameter of measure. There is no other supporting performance outcome dimension to this study. These limitations may and can serve as a basis for future research on this subject matter. Thank you all for your time and for listening. For questions, comments, clarifications, please contact the phone number and email address on the screen in front of you. Thank you.